I left this job 3 years ago. Never thought I'd be coming back to it now. 3 years ago, yeah, that's when I had a new calling and a new life, and now here I am, more confused than when I left. Well, I guess it just goes to prove the old saying that one's a garbage man, always a garbage man. I mean, it's a job with little future and a lot less respect, but I'll tell you, there's great job security in it. As long as there's people like you, who are going to create trash, well, there's always going to be trash collectors just like me. And I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I don't want you to feel sorry for me or anything. I used to love my job. In fact, I was really good at it. I had my own truck, my own route, my own customers. I was good. In fact, the garbage men around me called me the Sultan of Salvage. Oh, I thought that was really cool. I was good. I mean, I treated my customers with respect. Do you know how hard it is to be a garbage man these days? I mean, those hot days of picking up trash after you guys drop it off all over the place. It's hard. And, it hurts you sometimes having to take a can like this and throw it into the truck, but it builds muscles. And it makes your hands strong. These are working man's hands. Look at them. They're calloused. Some of my jobs have a lot of benefits. I mean, my wife thinks my muscles are pretty great. But she says, I bring something home with me. Wives, you say a lot of it. You complain about your husbands bringing things home. Well, I brought my work home with me many times. It was in my clothes and in my shoes, and my wife would say that she could smell me coming before I even got through the door. Oh, you know what? I forgot to introduce myself. Hi. Well, if I shake your hand with this, you're going to have something coming home. I'm Rocky. Hi, I'm Rocky. I'm Rocky. It's good to know you. I'm Rocky. Yeah. My name wasn't always Rocky. In fact, it was Simon. I was known as Simon the Garbage Collector for a long time. But then this stranger came along and gave me the name Rocky. I love that name. Isn't it a powerful name? I love it. But let me tell you about the stranger. You see, the story happens about 3 years ago. I was down here on Main Street picking up garbage. And I look across the street, and here is this stranger. I've never seen him before. And I'm starting to pay attention to him. Garbage collectors know a lot more than you think. You see, we go through your garbage, and we know a lot about what you know and do. And I didn't know a thing about this garbage man or this stranger, and so I decided I was going to watch him. So I pulled up a can. I sat right there and started to watch, and it looked like a circus. I mean, people were coming from all over just to see him. I mean, there were ministers and priests and rabbis right next to politicians. I'd never seen that before. And there were businessmen right next to children and old folks next to young folks. I mean, I was amazed. And they were all asking for miracles and signs. Wow, I just sat there watching. And you know what happened? He came across the street right at me. And he reaches out his hand and he shakes my hand. And then he won't let go. And he kind of pulls me toward him and he starts staring right through me. Oh, I wanted to back off. And then he asked the question, well, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a garbage man, of course. Can't you see? And then he starts giving me tips on how to be a better garbage collector. I mean, tips, can you imagine? Here I've been a garbage man all my life, and he starts giving me tips. And so we get in a little bit of a conversation back and forth. And then he says, Simon, do you always want to be a garbage collector? Or would you like to be the collector of people? Wow. I thought that was pretty cool. But then I started to say, okay, I'm pretty good at collecting garbage, but what about this collecting of people? I mean, what kind of truck do you need in order to collect people? Do you need to have a special license for people collecting? Do you have to go to people collecting school? I had all sorts of questions, and he didn't think they were all that funny. We started to go back and forth. And he kept for every question I asked, he turned it around. And he started to probe down deep inside of me. And then I said something I never thought that I would ever say in 100 years. I said, yes, I'd like to be a collector of people. And I reached in my pocket, I pulled out the keys to my garbage truck, and I gave it to one of my fellow workers. And I said, you can have the truck, but you need to go tell my wife. I'm sure he really wanted to have the truck, but I don't know if he ever wanted to go talk to my wife. I was excited. I was excited. I mean, I didn't want to be a garbage collector anymore. I wanted to collect people. I wanted to have the biggest haul of people I could possibly have. This man saw something in me that I didn't see myself. You see, he saw that I could be important. I could envision one day that I would be walking into a town with a stranger, and there would be all these people coming in, and they would go, isn't that Simon the garbage man? Look how important he is now. I was waiting for that day to come. But then I realized that he called other people as well. In fact, he called 11 others. And there were some more garbage men. There was an electrician, a plumber, a farmer, even somebody from the IRS. I can't believe it. From the IRS. We all had something in common. I mean, none of us knew where we were going. None of us knew how long we were going to be there. None of us knew a lot about this man. But all of us gave up secure jobs in order to go follow this man, this stranger. Oh, we traveled with him for 3 years, all over this country. I mean, we went everywhere, by plane, by train, by bus. And I saw things that I don't think many people have ever seen before. In fact, there was this man who had been blind since birth. He went to all the best hospitals, visited all the best surgeons, and they couldn't repair him. They couldn't make him see again. But the stranger, he just spit on the ground and got a little mud, wiped it in his eyes, and he was able to see again. I bet you won't see that written up in any medical journal. And then there was this woman who had polio when she was a young girl. And now here she was older and in a wheelchair, and her legs were all deformed. And the stranger just touched her, and she could walk again. I saw miracles. I mean, there was a whole army of people, and they were really hungry. We were out on the road, and he just got a few deli sandwiches and fed them all. He raised somebody from the dead. I saw it with my own eyes. But you know, the greatest miracle of all? He loved everyone. All the ministers and the pastors and the priests and the rabbis, they came at first and they were all excited, but then they got jealous. They got jealous because the stranger was starting to pull people away and starting to make them think for themselves. And so they started to talk against him, and he still loved them. The politicians would come out and they said, please endorse me, and he wouldn't. And so they started to talk against him. And he still loved them. There were people that came with their list of things that they wanted him to do, and he didn't do them. And they started to talk against him, and he still loved them. He still loved them, even when I gave up on him. I mean, I got tired of them. All their complaints, all their bickering, I gave up on him. Yet he would go away to a small place and pray. And he would come back with a power of love that I haven't seen before.